Good to have you here. So you, of course, made your sort of big speech to your conference earlier today. And in that speech, you said that you can guarantee that child poverty will be lower by the end of the Parliament, that it's a driving moral purpose of the government. So does that mean you're going to be scrapping the two-child benefit cap?
Look, I've been clear about the evidence. I've been clear that scrapping the two-child limit is on the table. But I'm leading that child poverty task force. I'm in the Cabinet. I'll be in a position to make change happen and get things done. And what I've said to members is that tackling child poverty will be my number one priority in this area. I've already delivered a lot. Expanding free school meals to 500,000 more children from next year will lift 100,000 children out of poverty. I don't just talk about child poverty, I act to make change happen. And it's really personal to me. It's what brought me into politics. I know what it feels like to grow up not having very much. And I'm determined for this new generation of children that they don't endure that moral scar of child poverty. The difference is I'll have a seat at the table to make change happen, to build on the work we've already delivered.
You say you can guarantee it. That means scrapping it, doesn't it? Not just that it's on the table or not. You put it out there, the guarantee, so that means you're going to do it.
But I know what needs to happen, right, in order to tackle child poverty.
What needs to happen?
The evidence is very clear about the impact of the two-child limit. Of course, there are measures that have to be taken in different fiscal events and in budgets. But, I fought tooth and nail to expand free school meals to 500,000 more children. That's my track record of delivery. So my message to members when they're voting in this contest is, do they want someone who can unite our party and take action on the things we really care about, like child poverty? Or do they want someone from the outside who won't be in that position of influence?
Have you been fighting with the Treasury on it then?
Well, I have lots of conversations with my colleagues in the Treasury about what needs to happen. I've been successful in many of those fights,
yes,
as you will have seen.
Is it yes?
Look, I'm someone that believes in the importance of having those discussions behind closed doors. I hold confidences. If you'll have a robust conversation behind the scenes, you come out, you hold to that, because politics is a team sport. And I think, what I've heard from members here in Liverpool this week is that they want us to unite as a party. They want us to get out there, be proud of the things that we've done. Yes, do more. And I'm seeking a mandate to do more. But we're not going to beat reform if we're fighting ourselves.
We had a Rachel Reeves speech today alongside your own, of course, where she made it pretty clear that there are going to be difficult decisions to be taken in the budget, not least over tax. And, I always thought that those kind of three taxes that you said in your manifesto weren't going to change. That was going to happen, right? So VAT, employees, national insurance and income tax. But then I spoke to Darren Jones about this today, and he said the manifesto stands today and he couldn't go further than that because things haven't been decided. I'm just trying to work out, what's your understanding on it? Do you think that the manifesto commitment on tax needs to stay the same?
Well, we made those commitments in the manifesto. We hold to them. We take the commitments we made in that manifesto incredibly seriously. And that is the right thing to do. I mean, I'm not going to come on and write Rachel Reeves's budget for months ahead of time. But I do know that working people have faced an ever-rising tax burden. They faced it under the Conservatives for many years. My priority is to put more money back into the pockets of working people. That's what I've done in government. New free breakfast clubs, free school meals, £7,500 that is going to parents of children who are taking up the 30 hours of funded childcare that I've been delivering. Those are the actions of a government that want working people to be better off.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because look, we all can see the economic situation as well, right? Rachel Reeves was very clear about it today. She said there are still those who peddle the idea that we could just abandon economic responsibility. Who do you think she's talking about?
There have been lots of voices making the case for why, fiscal responsibility doesn't matter, why rules around the economy don't matter. They do matter. Because, we saw with Liz Truss what happens where you play fast and loose with the public finances, where you make reckless decisions, where you don't take a responsible approach. The reason that we're able to do all of those brilliant things I've just set out around childcare, around breakfast clubs, free school meals, is because we've brought economic stability back into the economy and therefore we can invest. If you don't have that cornerstone, you can't make the decisions around investment.
You say that there's lots of voices. I mean, one of them has been Andy Burnham, right? He said that Labour can't be in hot to the bond markets. Is he being economically irresponsible?
I don't think it's a responsible approach to be taking. We saw what happened with the bond markets under Liz Truss. Working people have been paying the price on their mortgages. They paid the price on their mortgages after Liz Truss had that reckless and cavalier approach. The last thing working people need is to suffer any further. It's under this government that we're bringing down mortgage rates and people are better off as a result because of the interest rate cuts that have happened. But, we've got to be serious as politicians about our responsibilities. The British public know that stability matters. They're not daft. They know that you've got to have an economy with a set of rules where you can invest. And, that's a responsibility on all of us.
There was a Sky poll that's out today, a YouGov poll, saying that Andy Burnham would beat Keir Starmer 2-1 among Labour members if a leadership contest was held today. Do you think he'd make a good leader of the Labour Party, Andy Burnham?
Well, it's not a contest, so it's a totally hypothetical question I'm not going to get into.
Do you think he's, needs to kind of wind his neck in a bit?
That's for him, really, isn't it?
Oh, what do you think?
I think he's doing a great job where he is, and there isn't a leadership vacancy, so we can maybe get behind our elected leader and take the fight to reform.
Let's talk about the deputy leadership contest, shall we? You, of course, running to be deputy leader. You got a little name check in Rachel Reeves' speech today. She said there's no greater champion for working class kids than you. Did you know she was going to mention you?
No, I didn't know she was going to mention that.
Do you think it's a help or a hindrance being seen as the Chancellor's pick and also number 10's pick?
Look, I'm my own woman. I'm nobody's choice other than the members' choice if they choose to elect me as deputy leader. I've got my own track record that I'm standing on. I have actually in recent months faced down rather a lot of nonsense from various quarters. So I think I've demonstrated what I can get done and what our members will see more of if they elect me as their deputy leader.
What kind of nonsense?
Well, there's been a lot in the press. I've had to face down some of the vested interests in education as well. And I've come out the other side more determined than ever to deliver for working class kids across our country.
I know you're going to get the line, and I understand, that you're your own woman, all that sort of stuff, which I do understand. But you are the number 10 pick, right? It does feel like that. Do you think that there is an argument that you've got to be an independent voice if you are a deputy leader?
Look, I'm in the cabinet, so yes, I'm a part of the government. But I think that's a strength, and I think it will be a strength for members and for our movement to have that voice at the cabinet table when decisions are being made. Angela Rayner did a brilliant job as deputy leader, but she wasn't just deputy leader, she was running a big government department. The same was also true of John Prescott, and there's been a few suggestions during this campaign that somehow that it's a part-time role. I think it's pretty insulting to suggest that Angela or John or Harriet Harman, many of our brilliant deputy leaders, were anything other than full-time committed to the party and what they are doing. And what I would bring is that voice at the cabinet table to bring our members together, to bring our movement together. And I'm really proud to have the support of, many of our big affiliated trade unions who have worked with me, know what I can get done, and trust me to bring their concerns to the table and to make change happen.
Can you give me an example of something that you disagree with Keir Starmer on?
Look, we have disagreements in government, from time to time. That's usual. What I'm not going to come and do is air our dirty linen in public. And the reason I say that is that we succeed as a team. We stand together, we unite, we take the fight to our opponents. That's what members want. That's what they've always wanted. Divided parties don't win elections. How can we possibly beat reform if we're busy arguing amongst ourselves? But will I make my views known behind the scenes? Will I get things done? Yes. Look at my track record. I think it speaks for itself.